My name's Sean Chua. I took part in the 2024 RAWspace with Diana Chester.
I'm a part of Sastrugi Sounds of Antarctic Sea Ice, which is a project that focuses on ways of sonifying and bringing sounds of sea ice in Antarctica to everyday people who are not able to travel to Antarctica.
I work full-time as a scientist, but I've always had a passion and need to kind of have an artistic outlet. Just felt like a responsibility as a scientist where you want to be a good storyteller. And if all you're doing is writing these dense papers and code, and you can only communicate to a small audience. When I moved down here, I started working on studying Antarctic sea ice using satellites and also field techniques, and also thinking more about how I do some of that storytelling. And fortuitously was put in touch with Diana, and we kind of developed that together. We just found a lot of common overlap about our perspective on sound and its transformative power for kind of storytelling.
What we're hoping to achieve with this work is to bring access to Antarctica, but more than that, the changing environment that is happening there. The project uses a variety of different techniques, including sonification, which is the practice of taking data, usually large data sets, and turning them into sound through custom software programs. So we've taken those recordings, we've created compositions from them, and we've then respatialized them. So as an audience member, you can sit in a space and hear the sounds of cracking sea ice, of animals that live under the ice, in essentially a 360.
There were two performances or showings of our work. The first one was this process showing, a more extended question and answer with the audience. And so it was a really good opportunity to kind of harvest audience experiences. And we took them and worked them straight into the following performance that was the next day. We kind of divided the performance into like 3 sections. And so the first section, there's no visual stimulus and it's very dark. Hearing a collection of field recordings, supposed to be a deep listening exercise. And that's a spatial sound arrangement with this speakers all around the audience. And the next section is a sonification, so turning data into sound, satellite data, which shows this heartbeat of the Antarctic sea ice, turned into sound, accompanied by a movie together using raw footage from Frédéric Olivier. And she's really generous in lending us that footage. And then after that, we had a performance from a score that we co-wrote with B. Harrison Day, a violinist. And so that was the 3 sections. You've got this deep listening part, this kind of movie and sonification, and then this violin performance at the end.
Being a part of RAWspace has been really fantastic for us. It's allowed Sean and I the opportunity to come together and actually have time as a scientist and artist to develop our work in a space, to prepare for the development of that work, and to know we're going to have unbridled time to experiment. As 2 folks who tend to collaborate remotely, as I'm based in New South Wales and Sean is based in Tasmania, we don't often have the opportunity to kind of tangibly be in each other's spaces, engaging with the same tools, discovering the way that our ideas play out in real life. So the RAWspace residency has had a huge impact on the development of Sastrugi by giving us the space and time to actually be together, giving us a studio to work in, and not only a studio, but a really well-equipped theater space that allowed us to experiment with what the audience experience would be of seeing a large-scale visualization, something that's on a huge screen behind the audience, of setting up spatialized speakers around a sitting area for audience, and what that actually sounds like before going into that space, which has been incredible.
The RAWspace experience was like, so when ice forms in water, it has to be below 0 degrees. And for the ice to form, you need a little nucleus, and then the crystals form around it, and it grows out and becomes this solid thing. And I was thinking of a metaphor for Sastrugi and RAWspace, like it was like that little nucleus bit. We had all the raw materials, and they were kind of floating around in this disparate sense, and we were able to grow them out into this solid little nugget. And now that's what we've got. We can go and take that elsewhere.
With RAWspace, we were able to develop this as a performative piece, which was fantastic for us. It was something that we wouldn't have done if we didn't have the space. And I think moving forward, we try to experiment on how we can expand that into more of maybe a festival space or even an installation space that we can activate with some type of performance work. It might be nice, for example, to actually develop an album out of this work, to put something out into the world that blends sonification of large data sets of sea ice with sounds of the sea ice, with improvisational responses and musical compositional elements that are in relation and in response to the sea ice.